everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Disney Cruise Line Show, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined this week via Skype by my good friends Denny Sunderly.
Hi there.
Corey Martin.
I'm just happy to be here.
Dreams Unlimited travel agent, Mr. Sean Falk.
Hi.
And producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Ahoy, hoy.
So this week we are going to talk about the Mickey's Halloween. What? Oh God, what are they called?
Halloween at the high seas.
The Halloween on the high seas cruises that happen in the fall on Disney Cruise Line. Before we get into that, just a reminder: this show, along with many of the other shows and all of the content we produce, is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. We would appreciate your support to show us support for the content that we produce. But if you'll book your next Disney Cruise Line with Dreams, you're going to get a shipboard credit as high as $1,000, depending on the price of your cruise. You get a great exclusive gift basket that we send out for things that you need on your cruise. You get the support of a well-trained professional agent who knows Disney Cruise Line and can help you navigate through all the different decisions that you need to make. And all of that for the same price you would pay Disney. So it doesn't cost you any more, and you get all those great services, shipboard credit, and gifts to boot. So just visit dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, and there'll be a link in the show notes right below this video to Dreams Unlimited, as well as if you'd like Sean to help you plan your next cruise, you can go to his agent page and he will help you out. Or you can visit disunplugged.com if you're listening to us via audio and find the show notes there. So let's start out by taking a look at the highlights of the Halloween on the High Seas cruises on Disney Cruise Line. Okay, so I believe all of us have been on one of these, right?
Not
Yes.
me. Not me.
Not Denny?
Oh, not Denny.
Not me.
Why? What's the matter with you?
I just haven't yet. I would love to.
You're failing. You're failing as a Disney fan. Just
I'm sorry.
Point that out. It'll point that out. But Craig, you've done them, right?
Yeah, I've done one, and I know I was for sure on that ship with Corey and with you. So, yeah, I've done it. And the videos that we have on the Diz and the video that you just watched came from my camera. So,
okay, so yes.
I've definitely been on one.
And Sean, you've done them?
I've done one for the Halloween on the High Seas. I actually didn't even know that was going on when I went on the ship. That wasn't my reasoning. I was just happy to be there, I guess.
Okay, Corey.
So I just showed up on the ship and it was going on. So I was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, so just to give people a little overview, if you're not familiar with these, one of the things I really like about how Disney does this one and with the Maritime Cruises for Christmas, it's not over the top. They do a lot of really tasteful decoration, but it's not like every time you turn around, you're slammed in the face with Halloween. So they'll do things like there's Mickey's Masquerade Party in the atrium. They do games and trick-or-treating and things like that. You get like Jack Skellington and Sally greet guests following a special interactive sing and scream experience from the Nightmare Before Christmas. Up on deck, they'll do things like campfire-style haunted stories, and then they do a Halloween Isn't Just for Kids adults party, and with a costume contest. It's a lot of fun stuff, but for me, because that's a lot of stuff I wouldn't do. The decorations in the atrium are unbelievable. They really, and they do the same thing for the holidays. It's absolutely beautiful how they go all out.
It's also like, the attention to detail, like they'll change all the porthole windows to look like pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns. So it's pretty cool.
So what, who wants to weigh in on their thoughts on the Halloween cruises?
I can. I did mine. It was right after I had started as a Dreams agent. I was able to get a really great rate on this one-way through Canada cruise that Disney decided to try out that year. It was they still offer it as a 5-night, which is still one of the Halloween sailing options. That year, they decided to try a one-way 7-night cruise, which obviously didn't work out because they were offering it at a huge discount. And the ship was so empty, and they've never done it again. So I happened to book it just because it was there, and I didn't really know what to expect. I showed up, and I knew something was kind of off whenever we were outside and saw that all the windows had jack-o'-lantern faces in them. So we're like, okay, well, I guess this is... Because this was in September, so it was like early September, but I forget with Disney sometimes that, like... It's never too early to start a holiday with Disney. So yeah. I was kind of blindsided, but it was really, really cool. So we didn't bring costumes or anything because we just didn't know. And I will say that it wasn't so overkill that it affected the cruise negatively in any way for somebody that wouldn't want to go and do something like this. So it was a surprise, but everything was very positive. My favorite thing was the Nightmare Before Christmas interactive showing. That's not one of my favorite Disney movies. And the people in my party had actually never seen it before. So we're like, yeah, we'll go. Like, let's go see it. It was 3D. Well, I guess technically 4D because they had like things falling during it in the theater and confetti. And at the end, the characters from the movie come out and do meet and greets and all that. It was really, really, really cool. That was one of the best experiences with that.
And I'm a huge fan of Nightmare Before Christmas. It's one of my favorite movies. My office is decorated in Haunted Mansion and Nightmare Before Christmas. So I love... That sounds like it would be so cool.
It was neat. I've only ever seen the movie just like at home on a regular screen. So seeing it on the big screen with all the interactive stuff, and they had like spotlights that were like coming over the theater, like during the songs and stuff. And like, there's one part where like the police are after Jack Skellington and stuff. So they had the sirens and the police searchlights and everything in the theater while it's going on. So like maybe a toned down version of going to see Rocky Horror Picture Show at a movie theater, but like interactive in that way, I guess. So that was a big highlight.
Corey, what about you? What are your thoughts on the Halloween sailings?
Craig had to remind me that I thought it was a podcast cruise, but it was a fam cruise with Dreams. So I had to remember when we went, like for Disney in these cruises, it's all for me. It's less about the activities, because I was just by myself, but it was less about the activities and more about the decorations and seeing the characters in their costumes. So it was just more about being on the ship, like themed for Halloween, rather than going to we went to the tree lighting, we did that. But if I didn't have to cover it, I probably wouldn't have. It's just cool to see.
Well, if you've been there
around that ship.
But if you've been there with the kids,
oh, absolutely, it would be incredible. Oh, they would, they'd be dressed up every day. And therefore, so would I.
So Denny, the fact that you've not been on one of these, is that just by accident or by design?
Totally by accident. No, I would absolutely love to go because we've seen what the ships look like at Christmas time. And so I'd love to see. I know there's a huge Halloween tree that's in the lobby atrium, from what I understand, right? Mm-hmm. And so do they do a lighting for that the same way that they do for the Christmas tree? Okay. And
I believe they do, yeah.
They do, yeah.
The fact that there is trick-or-treating on board, that is the coolest thing. So I'd be right there with the kids going and getting candy.
How long? I'm sorry. How long was our cruise? The Halloween cruise we did?
3 nights.
3 nights. What's good about these short Halloween cruises is that you can do maybe like a land sea. Spend a few days at Walt Disney World. You don't have to do the Halloween party if you don't want to, unless you want Halloween overload. Do that and then do this. That's a lot of Halloween, but it gives you an option to maybe just do Walt Disney World for a bit, no Halloween party, and then jump on this and get your Halloween fix.
And I agree with that. I think that's a really good way of doing it, specifically because of character meet and greets. I mean, we've known, especially the last few years with the Halloween parties at Disney World, how long it is. I mean, one year it was like 3 hours to meet Moana during the party. And I'm like, God, that's the whole party almost.
Yep.
And, it's great because you could buy those bonus tickets, just see the parade or just the fireworks and go kill a bunch of rides during that time period. And then once you're on the cruise, you get to meet a lot of the same characters that are dressed up in their costumes and stuff. So with like no lines because it's on the cruise ship.
Craig, you've been trying to get in on this.
Yeah, I kind of going back to what Corey had originally said about it would change with his kids there. I think that Halloween on the high seas is very family oriented versus something like the very maritime cruises, where I don't think necessarily for those cruises you would need young kids or even to be there with your full family to kind of like get the most out of it. Whereas Halloween on the high seas, it is. My opinion of it when I was on there with Corey and everyone else is that this is a nice, easy oasis to bring your kids to celebrate Halloween, where they have friendly trick-or-treating, kind of similar to Not So Scary, but just everything's a little bit more watered down. Like the Halloween tree lighting ceremony, it's fun, but like the storyteller comes out and it's very much aimed directly towards children. And the characters on our cruise, the characters were only out like the one day. So that I know is something like for me, I like to get photos and stuff with the characters in their costumes. But when they have very limited time out in their actual specialty costumes, it makes it really difficult because like during the masquerade, when they're down meeting and mingling with people, you don't want to be that adult who steps in front of the big group of kids. I know everyone has equal opportunities, but at the same time too, I'm not going to be the guy crushing little Susie's dreams because I care more about having a photo with Vampire Mickey than she does. But yeah, so for me, it's just there's not enough to extend Halloween for adults to say like it's an every year must do thing, but I would be happy doing it every couple years just to see if they updated, tweaked, adjusted anything. But unlike the Christmas one, I could do that every single year as a tradition.
Sean, let me ask you a question, and I'm asking this because I really don't know the answer, but you might, as a travel agent. Are these cruises, are they more expensive than cruises where they're not doing the Halloween overlay?
Yeah, they do tend to be. I mean, as far as like talking like 3 and 4 night Bahamian cruises, if you go on and you look at like the very first sailing in September, let's say, or maybe the second one, or the last ones right before the Halloween parties start, they do tend to be less expensive than the Halloween sailings do. But a lot of it depends on the timing of that as well. Some of that's like the week kids go back to school and all that. So there isn't as much demand necessarily to go on a cruise. It's like there's a spike at Labor Day and then, it kind of starts going down a little bit into September and then it kind of shoots back up the closer it gets to Halloween. But some of the sailings, like if you want to go on the Magic, and that's going to be like Bermuda, and Canada, those cruises are more expensive anyway, just because Bermuda, your cruise ship kind of acts like your hotel. So you're going to have to pay more in port fees and everything like that, because it's just going to sit in King's Wharf and that's where your cruise is for the most part.
Oh God, I just lost what I was going to say. I was going to say something and I lost it.
I was going to say, I think that, going to what Craig was saying as well, I think, we were a group of 4 adults that went. We did the Night Before Christmas event. We saw the characters out. We definitely saw the trick-or-treating going on. But most of the events, like there was like pumpkin carving and there was like an old witch woman telling stories and that kind of stuff. But that was for kids. And it was listed as like a 4 families thing, but they did do a lot of stuff in the kids areas and they did a lot of stuff that was clearly geared towards families. So I wouldn't say that we weren't welcome, but we didn't feel comfortable enough to participate because like none of us had kids and we were all adults. But we did get to do like the movie, and there were things on the screens outside as well. They would show like not horror movies, but like Disney level of like their spookier movies and stuff for that.
I think they should do a Universal Takeover one year and let them do like Halloween Horror Nights on the ship.
Oh yeah.
I remember what I was going to say before. We were talking about the price difference between these cruises. That's really where the booking early comes in for these specialty cruises. Same way we say it for Alaska, we say it for Europe. With any cruise that may get expensive because it fills up quickly. It's a really good idea to be doing this, be booking early. So that's why we're doing these shows now as we get ready for the fall of 2021 DCL release. Let people know about these. And, I should also point out, if you want to get in line to book these cruises that get released for fall of 2021, it's future_bookings at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, and you'll be assigned to an agent, and then they'll work with you once these get released. Go ahead, Sean.
I would say also it's a lot to consider if you are living in the Northeast, as many of our fans that are listening do, because there are these and I guess to an extent if you live out in San Diego too, with the Disney Wonder being out there, but or in Southern California, but especially in the Northeast, it looks appealing to come down and do a 3 or 4 night out of the Bahamas, because that is going to be cheaper than doing a Canadian cruise or doing a Bermuda cruise out of New York City. But I mean, once you add in flights and once you add in the actual effort of having to like corral kids, put them on planes, fly down here, do your transfers, everything like that, you need to add that kind of stuff into it and be like, would we be better off paying an extra $500 collectively to just do Bermuda or just do a Canadian cruise? Even if that's not an ideal place that you'd want to go on a sailing and you'd rather go do Castaway Key and that kind of stuff, it may just not be, it may be financially better to do it the other way. And you still get to put your kids in an environment where they're safe trick-or-treating. Because I know that's a big thing. When I was a kid and I trick-or-treat, my parents would just let us loose and we would just run from house to house as a thing. And I don't really think people do that as much anymore. It has to be a little more quarantined and a little more
supervised.
Careful, so more supervised. And this is a great way of letting your kids experience a real Halloween, like we're going to dress up, really do it. And it's not this sporadic, like, oh, this house is giving away candy and then like 7 houses later is giving away something. So maybe that's something to take into account too.
Corey?
I think for us, why we've never really considered doing the Halloween cruises, we love Halloween in a safe environment too. We don't really do it in our neighborhood unless we have like a golf cart that we can just hop around. But we like the safe environment. But this does fall around that time of year where taking the kids out of school, we would have to take the kids out of school at least one day. And it is so close to the beginning of the school year. I think that's why we've never really considered this. We try to wait to where we have some sort of break, because right around the corner is Thanksgiving break. And then, so we would love to do it as a family, but it's just, can we get them out of school? I'm willing to do it. Julie, on the other hand.
Greg?
I think it ultimately, to me, it comes down to being one of those cruises that if you just happen to be able to travel during that time period, it's a really fun thing that could just happen to be on your cruise already. Like having the pumpkin tree, like it's as much as the ceremony is for kids, still having that transition of walking on the ship day one and it looking like it's old, decrepit, not functioning anymore. But then after the ceremony, it's now come to life and the eyes are flickering the entire time. Like little touches like that make it worthwhile. Having all the cups up on top deck being switched out to Halloween on the high seas cups instead of just your standard ones. The little simple stuff that it adds to the excitement. Maybe it's not worth going all the way out and saying, yeah, I am pulling my kids out of school to do this, but if it just happens to work out that you're on a Halloween cruise, it's definitely not a bad thing unless you're afraid of witchcraft and such.
Okay. One thing I want to point out and really impress on everybody, normally the fall releases, the big release that Disney Cruise Line does every year is the summer release. That's where you get Alaska, that's where you get Europe, stuff like that. Those are the ones that, they really get insane. And not that, you don't book a lot of reservations for the winter and the fall releases, but summer's always been the big one. I think this year it's going to be different, though. I think, not to date this video too much, but we're obviously, since we're doing this all via Skype, we're in the midst of the pandemic. We still don't know what's going to happen with that. A lot of people have had their reservations canceled. A lot of people just deciding not to travel for the rest of the year. There is a lot of pent-up demand for next year, and especially where cruise line is concerned. And I think as soon as they release these fall cruises, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts with that pent-up demand. So it's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this now, kind of let people know, the big thing for the fall are the Maritime and the Halloween sailings. So we'll be doing another show on the Maritime cruises as well. But this is why, I can't stress it enough, book as soon as they release. That is the cheapest price you're going to pay. Even when they discount them later on, like if they need to discount, it's still more expensive, generally speaking, than if you had booked on opening day. So,
also if you're against like Halloween being so early, I know like when they start Mickey's Not So Scary and sometime midsummer.
Is it going on now? Is it
right now? The Disney Fantasy starts on September 7th and then the Dream on September 6th. So that's still pretty early as far as Halloween goes. So
it's at least September.
Right,
it's
right.
Not
yeah,
August,
exactly.
like Disney World does.
So be warned, it's Halloween time.
So, but we have to get Denny on one.
I would love to.
We have to get
What
to
would you dress up
Absolutely.
as, Denny? What's your go-to costume?
Oh my gosh. Usually pigtails and a big onesie, and I put little freckles on my face.
So a stripper.
Yeah.
Like a kid.
So you're a stripper.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Pete.
The onesie and the
Thank you.
pigtails. I mean,
Yeah, she doesn't buy it online.
Like a footy
It comes in a little
onesie.
Ziploc bag.
Jammies with the feet in them. That's what I like.
okay. That's right. No, it's Craig. It's Craig who dresses up as a stripper.
There you go.
So, all right, folks, that's our discussion on Halloween on the high seas for Disney Cruise Line. That'll do it for this week's show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another episode of the Disney Cruise Line Show. Have a great week, folks.